Hey, hi, howdy, hello. I see I got some messy hair and I don't care. It's a good time to remind you, you don't have to brush your hair. You don't have to put on any special outfit in order to check in with yourself a little bit. You might want to adjust your camera. Talking to myself. As usual, I'm silly and I'm here to invite you to join me in a little bit of developing more fitness so we can be more free. That's the main point of this channel lately. All that rhymes, so you know it's true. As usual, I'm going to come do a little bit of that for myself and remind you there's not one way. Make sure you follow your own lead. Point out that this is the fantastic Head Hutt Mega-Sculpture, which I built myself and wrote a book about. You can read about on Amazon if you're interested. Let's run through just a quick, I'm actually going to do my quick pre-snowboarding season extra butt and leg exercises. Core, butt, and leg, because that's what it's come down to. Also, it's good areas to focus on for almost anything you're doing, but especially for snowboarding, and it also happens to be areas where I'm feeling a little weak, so all that adds up to let's do some more. Let's see. We got a squeaky board under there. It's a good time to just start off with a little warm up with some calf raises. That's just coming up onto the toes. You can, of course, try to do that on one leg. Hold it onto a wall, probably. I'm going to try to get off that squeaky board just a little bit. And there's a lot of different ways to warm up. I actually did just do a little bit of other exercises, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it's good to just remind you, warm up a little first, stretch out, get your muscles moving with something a little bit mellow before you jump right into something more rigorous. So, I don't know, I'm going to do like 20 or so of these calf raises. Could get more intense if you were on a step or stand on one leg. There's lots of ways to make it more challenging if you're up for that sort of thing. I'm going to just also, let's do just a little bit of knee raising for the warming up. These are good for the legs as well, and the flexibility and the balance. It is a good warm-up exercise just to get things stretched, get myself a little bit out of breath, just starting to. And then I'm going to do what I call dip lunges, but I think the fancier name are they Bulgarian lunges? So I'm going to step back with the left foot. I'm going to pull these hips onto the perpendicular line. It's easy to get with the hips open, which is a different kind of lunge. But for this particular one, it's important to try to keep the hips on a perpendicular line, feet relatively parallel. You could make it much deeper or much, could fall right over. You could make it real easy or real difficult. I'm going to try to come into some moderate zone here, pulling those hips onto the perpendicular line. And I'm just going to bring both legs into about a 90-degree angle, back and front. And I'm going to do a set on one side and then a set on the other side. I think I'm just going to do 10 for the purposes of this demonstration, but I like to do at least 25 on each side, maybe a 50 or even 100 once I work up to it. But I'm a little breathy, as you can hear, a little out of practice, so it's good to start where you are with what you got, do the best you can, and then improve along the way. That's one of my main mottos, strategies, philosophies. I forgot to count, so I'm just going to guess that that's around 10. And switch legs. And again, pulling those hips onto the perpendicular line. That's pulling the front hip back hip forward. Feet are relatively parallel, nice and stable, hopefully. Just for keeping even Stevens, I'll do a little bit of a deeper lunge there. So I did that on the other side. I got loud, low airplane. And then again, just dipping. You could, of course, add weights. I wanted to make this more rigorous. You could also step forward and switch in between every lunge. I find I get a nice thigh burn doing a set on one side. I like to try to push all the way back into that back heel, coming up on the toe, on the dip, and then into the back heel. And also I try to make sure that my front knee isn't crunching past that front toe, so adjusting accordingly. So I'm watching myself in the camera, and that 90-degree, approximately 90-degree angle is a helpful kind of measure. And like I said, 5, 10, 25, 50 on each side is a good thing to aim for. Usually I feel a little burn in the thighs there when I get going. Let's do a little bit of stomping that out. Another exercise I like to do to prepare for snowboarding season is what I call sloppy squats. I know, it sounds so attractive, isn't it? And for those, I like to reach up and then come all the way down into a squat, and I'm turning my body so that one hand is in front between my feet and one hand is to the back. And then I'm standing up and clapping overhead and coming down on the other side, twisting slightly to that side. These will make me out of breath real quick. But I guess for one, I like to do sloppy squats because they're easier than proper form, which is important, don't get me wrong, but also they kind of mimic more what I end up doing when I'm snowboarding. So, and they also just get my heart rate up, get me feel a little breathless. And when I'm feeling real fit, I might do 100 of those. Right now I'm just going to do 10 because I'm not feeling particularly fit, and also trying to fit more exercises into this video. And once again, I forgot to count, but I'm guessing we're just about at the 10 or 12 mark. We'll do one more on this side. Gonna swing the arms out, catch my breath for a few seconds. Let's do side lunges. That's another one. It's just good for stretching the legs out and strengthening. So from a wide stance with the feet parallel, you could do that by shifting the toes to one side, which opens the hips more, and then lunge into that side with the open hips. Let's try that on both sides, shifting that foot, coming into that side lunge. And again, you could do several in a row on one side, or you can switch back and forth each time. Try it out different ways, see what works well for you. Another way to do a side lunge is more of a, I don't know, it's something I used to do in martial arts, which is all the way down. Use hands for support, and then I'm shifting this foot up on the other side. You can reach for that side. This is a nice, more of a stretch. Sometimes I hook this arm under that knee for an additional twist. Ideally, I'm all the way back on that heel, but you can probably see I'm fighting for my balance there because I haven't been doing this one. So it's good I'm doing it. If you're feeling real strong, then you won't have to use your hands to stand up, but if you feel a little weak like I am, you might have to. So sliding that long leg out, coming all the way down like into a half squat, shifting that long leg to where the toe is pointing up, reaching for that toe, adds a nice stretch. And if you want to add an additional twist, hooking this elbow under that knee to kind of add a little twist through the spine, through the hip. You can rotate that toe a little bit for variety in that stretch. That reminds me of a real basic one that's basic but good, which is just touching your toes one side then the other, coming back up, bending from the hips, coming up. This one's a little easier than the one I just did, it feels like anyway. But A little tip, try not to lock your knees while you're doing that. There's a temptation to do that. And you can add like even more of a twist to that. It can be good. Now I got myself out of breath. Feels good. I like to again reiterate, there's not one way to check in with your body, not one way to get more fit so you can be more free. So find what works for you today and do a little more. Remember, you're enough exactly as you are, but you probably can do more than you think. I hope to inspire you to do a little more, get more fit so you can be more free. Whatever else you do, make sure you stay curious and stay courageous. Like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you soon. Peace.